Wow. Get this back. Oh, my God. Let's get after it. Your favorite average to good U.S. men's national team defender, Jimmy Conn. I'm back, baby. Let's go. And you know what to do. Hit like and subscribe, and let's get after it. Hi, hello, and welcome to your favorite average to good podcast. I know that Charlie Davies
we've
has
gone
said it's
from good to great.
I don't know. Debatable, but I'm back in the driver's seat. I'm excited. Went on a little vacay with the fam over to Spain. Saw Girona versus Espanyol. That stadium was sick. 12,000 people it holds. Girona playing in the Champions League in a 12,000-seat stadium. That was pretty ridiculous, but had a lot of fun. How did everybody else's Thanksgiving go? That's where we're going to start. Big Tones coming to you. How'd it go? Turkey Day, long weekend. How are you feeling?
Oh man, it was awesome. I told Charlie before we went off the last show. It's my favorite day of the year, man. I just love being around the table with the family. And unfortunately, my youngest wasn't home because he's at school and he's they have like 7 days after. But no. So he'll be back this week. But yeah, it's awesome, man. I love it. Mine was good. Hopefully your guys' was good, and thankful for a lot of things, my friend, including being able to talk about this sport on a daily basis.
Absolutely. Definitely grateful for that as well. Chuck, I saw some stuff on the Instagrams, even though I was traveling, still making time to watch your stories. You had I saw some futsal happening or some games happening with your team. How'd it go? They look good. Like I saw some build-up play. I was like, all right, Chuck's got them in a good place.
8 years old. We use our keeper. Hey, Tony, you'd be happy developing the keeper's feet. These kids keep picking up things that I throw at them, building out of the back, and I love coaching, so that was great. Thanksgiving, I'm in studio doing Europa League coverage. Had dinner with Nico after at the Brazilian steakhouse here, Gaucho Terra. It was phenomenal, but we had some great conversations. You missed a good interview with Daniel Edelman of the New York Red Bulls.
Yeah.
So we talked about his growth, New York Red Bulls this season. So we've had some good comments too. Anthony Tharp, Rafa Cardenas, Gordo's back in here. Matt Christopher always in here. So appreciate you guys always showing up and putting in those comments. Let's go to work.
Yeah, no love for Jackson Reagan apparently from Charlie Davies.
Oh, Jackson Reagan too. I was his favorite player. My bad.
So we hope on behalf of everybody here, call it what you want. We hope that people listening and watching had a great Thanksgiving as well. Food coma, lots of calories, watching a lot of awesome games. Big weekend around the world for the beautiful game, including New York Red Bulls booking their ticket. Number 7 seed, the lowest seed ever to make an MLS Cup final, taking on the LA Galaxy, who did what they needed to do to beat the Sounders 1-0 to host MLS Cup this upcoming weekend. That's going to be exciting. We'll get into that a little bit later. But we do want to talk about Malik Tillman, because the guy's popping off, and apparently there's rumors, concrete, I'm using air quotes because apparently it was quoted, concrete options and opportunities for him and interest from Aston Villa and Tottenham. Those are significant teams that play in Europe in the Premier League. Those are pretty good. Now, it's one thing to be linked to maybe a smaller mid-table, whatever it may be, but these clubs are cooking with gas. And we're seeing this quote here from Florian Plettenberg, who says, strong development for Tillman at PSV. 22-year-old striker in the winter has some concrete inquiries from Tottenham and Aston Villa. The U.S. international sees the Premier League as a goal. However, winter transfer is unlikely since his release clause only becomes active at the end of the season, and it's 30 to 40 million. Right now, FC Bayern, who hold a buyback option and matching right, but currently have no plans to bring Tillman back. I don't know why they would. They got this guy named Jamal Musiala. It's pretty good. Yeah. So I can get why Tillman's going to be 100%. Somewhere else. But those are some big clubs, Chuck. Tillman,
massive clubs, and he is. I see the striker question mark from Tyler K. He's not a striker. Malik Tillman is one of those in between type of players. He's not a 9. I don't think he's a 10. I don't think he's a winger, but he can kind of encapsulate all of those things in a kind of free role position. He needs to feel comfortable. In talking to a number of players who play with him, when he feels comfortable, when he feels respected, when he's in an attacking role, which he's made public after one of the Champions League matches and talking about Peter Bosch playing him in a more defensive role, allowed him to play attacking, and then things happen. And he said, hey, when I'm happy and I'm attacking, positive things happen. He's a creative player. He's not super dynamic in terms of pace and acceleration, but gifted ball control, and that strike that we saw in Champions League, or sorry, in league play, or it's Champions League.
No, Champions League against Shakhtar Donetsk.
That's something we can use. That is an asset. And so then it kind of falls back on Malik Tillman when you say he needs to be comfortable, right? Because you need to find comfortability in uncomfortable situations and scenarios. Those are when players excel. Those are the players you count on when you say, "Oh, we're up against it, but he looks comfortable." Why is he not phased? Those are the players, and those are the moments that you need Malik Tillman to come to life. And I was wondering, when are we going to see that with the U.S. men's national team? Because the problem with the U.S. men's national team is you're not going to have time like you do in the club scene. And he's going to be competing with Yunus Musa and Gio Reyna, who are both, back to playing and they're healthy. There's one position that I see him playing in within this national team, given how Pochettino likes to play. And that's in that right wing, inverted wing spot, who comes inside and more like acting like a midfielder, a free roll, or one of those 2 8s. And I don't see him playing there. We saw that against Jamaica. So I think there's a predicament there in terms of the national team, but obviously in the club level, he's excelling.
All right, let's take a look at his club versus country statistics, just so we have a little frame of reference. For club this season, he has been, in all competitions, been pretty ridiculous. 19 matches, 17 starts, 8 goals, 3 assists. I believe that's up to 20 now. This past weekend, he had an assist. So that would put him at 8 goals and 4 assists in 20 games. But he's been unbelievable and created a ton of chances. Now, for the U.S., 7 matches, 2 starts, no goals, no assists, only 1 chance created. So when I was first hearing what Chuck was saying, Big Tones, there was a lot of win. When I feel good, when people treat me with respect, win, all these things. Like, how much red carpet do we have to roll out for this guy for him to play? When you kiss my butt, when you kiss my ring, when you do all this stuff. I'm putting that out there just for fun. But that seems like there's a lot of elements that need to go into place to get the best out of Malik Tillman. And he's found that now at PSV. And there seems to be a trust that Peter Bosz, the manager, has of him to make a difference in these games. I'm teeing you up here to kind of, is this in some ways, like when I look at the Shakhtar Donetsk game, okay, they were down 2-0 at home. They come back and score 3. Tillman has 2. The first one's on a really smart set piece, catches the goalkeeper off his line. Great play, good heads-up play. Second one was the banger that Chuck talked about to make it 2-2. Then Pepe scored in the last minute of the game to win that one. Very exciting. But at that point, Shakhtar was down to 10. They had a red card at that point. At 11-11, he wasn't doing as much, Malik Tillman. And so when they had the man advantage, maybe more pockets of space or more time on the ball, and Shakhtar's chasing at that point, getting tired. And so I kind of take that game with a little bit of a grain of salt, because at 11-11, he wasn't as impactful. What are your thoughts on Tillman overall?
In general, the word comfort, like being comfortable, scares me a little bit, right? No, it does. Just in general. It has nothing to do with him, because if you think about it from a national team standpoint, what did we say for like a year under Greg Berhalter, the last year, right? And I'm going to say phase 2 of Greg Berhalter. These guys were getting comfortable. Like, we didn't like that, that they know what's going on. The trick, as we all know, for you will always feel, I think, a little bit more comfortable if you're a national team player at your club, because the manager, if they're good, they're seeing how you react. They're massaging the situation every day, and everybody's treated a little bit differently. And the national team, you come in, and Mauricio Pochettino or anyone else doesn't have all of this time to figure out every single nuance of what's going to make you tick all the time. And Charlie, you're coaching young players, right? And you're coaching presumably some kids that have dreams of being in Europe or being in MLS or being in the national team, or some dreams. Like, what are you going to tell them at some point? I would imagine you're going to tell them, hey, go to Europe, go to MLS, go wherever like the next step for you is, and go get uncomfortable, right? We say this all the time. Go get out of your comfort zone, right? And that's when you think about it from that perspective, it scares me a little bit, but I understand that you might not feel. And oddly, in this 4 game, so I wrote them down last night. Of course, I need these to see anything I write down anymore. The 4 games under Pochettino, the one he didn't play was the last game, the 4-2. His best performance, I thought, was the game he went in for Johnny deeper.
In Jamaica.
Right, in Jamaica. Mm-hmm. So it's because that's not preferred for him, but I'm with Charlie and you guys, you talk about, he's going to have to make this team in a more advanced position. And there's some pretty damn good players in those advanced positions. We're all waiting. I mean, we've almost said this every game with Tillman. We're waiting to see PSV form in a U.S. men's national team jersey, right?
Hey,
and if
they're
we
coming
do,
for you, Tony, in the chat. Tyler K, old man glasses. You said get them old man glasses.
Right. Like, there's no, Tyler.
Come on.
See, Tyler, you're right. You're absolutely right. I agree
Tyler.
with you 100%.
This guy, he's an icon. You can't come at him for glasses. Come on.
No, I'm good, man. I'm good.
So Tony, to build off of that point, I feel like if there's got to be an element of trust. If I'm Mauricio Pochettino, can I trust Tillman to do the job over somebody else? And I don't know if he's done enough in a U.S. shirt to under Pochettino to warrant that. So he didn't. He came off the bench against Panama in the 4 games Pochettino's been in charge. Got like 12 minutes. Came in for Paxten Aaronson. Then against Mexico, he started, and that was a shit game for everybody, right? And didn't have that didn't take over the game when we wanted him to, right? Like at some moment, I don't need him to do it every single time he's on the ball, but it would be nice to see some elements of this guy's going to slow it down. It'll allow us to get more players in advance of the ball, and then we can actually attack Mexico with some real numbers. Didn't see a lot of that. Then against Jamaica, didn't start. He came on because Johnny Cardoso got hurt, like you mentioned. I actually thought that was a surprise. I thought Bucio was going to be the player that would have come in. Okay. I actually think Pochettino and his staff was like, show us you can do it from a little deeper of a position. Show us that you got a little bit of grit to your game, right? I think there are times when he can press and get after teams, but he really only picks his spots. It's not like this consistent. It's not his game. But I feel like under Pochettino, you have to do that. You have to do these little details so that he can trust you to execute the game plan that he wants to play.
Unless you make up with it by doing something else, right? If you make up for that lack of intensity in the press by being exceptional in possession or being exceptional chance creator, right? If he can shoot from distance like he did against Shakhtar every single time and put on goal, that's a whole nother dynamic that we haven't seen yet out of this midfield for the U.S. men's national team. Can we have players who can strike from distance and score goals, which opens up more space for Christian Pulisic and Timothy Weah? I feel like at this point, it's really difficult to say, hey, we're going to give Malik Tillman time in a position within this U.S. men's national team, given how everyone's starting to play and everyone's got the momentum of, I want to be in the national team starting 11 for the World Cup. I want to be a centerpiece. And people are getting healthy. People are playing well. And that's like the drive towards 2026. So for Malik Tillman, yes, we can see his quality, but that doesn't always translate to the U.S. men's national team, right? And the whole comfortable thing, that's on him to get comfortable. That's not on Mauricio Pochettino to make him feel comfortable. It's on him to put up those numbers that he does with PSV for the U.S. men's national team.
Jimmy, who was it? Tottenham, and who was the other team?
Aston Villa.
Okay. Aston Villa. You think you're going to walk in there and feel comfortable? No, you're not going to be. The last thing, I mean, this is the challenge, right, for everybody. And maybe I'm harping on that word too much because I remember the quote when it came out. So to take that into context, but if it's not that word, it's anything else where you feel that way, right? Like it's not going to be easy all the time, and you got to work your way through those things. And I will say, guys with lesser talent than him sometimes get by because they're like, F it, man. I'm just going for it. Like I know this, right. I'm going for it here. He'll be fine. I think the national team it's tricky because there's still so many guys. It's not like a completely new group of guys. There's so many guys that have been part of this national team now, as young as they are, for a long time. And they get each other. They're learning a new manager, but guys have probably been through more than he has at the club level. I love that we can see the potential. We can see the ceiling. Hopefully there's more to it, and we're just hoping that he gets to that.
Yeah, I think what's interesting, and he's only 22, by the way, plenty of time to be more well-rounded. That doesn't mean you're going to
turn into
That's
Usain
true.
Bolt. You know what I mean?
That's true.
You know his player profile. He's got a quiet personality, which also kind of mirror images the way he plays on the pitch. There's nothing loud or harsh, right? He's very chill, but he's smooth. But when you are that type of player, you have to be exceptional in keeping possession and finding space and being making the right decisions, when to dribble, when to pass, when to take those shots. And it just hasn't clicked yet at the international level.
I mean, he got his youth career with Bayern Munich. So clearly he got identified very early on with all these characteristics that we're seeing. Got 4 appearances with the first team and then went on loan to Rangers. His first year at Rangers, 22-23, he was the young player of the season for the club. Again, another token of acknowledgement that this guy can play, that he's good. He's got some talent. And then he goes to PSV on loan, and then they make that loan permanent. And now he's there and obviously doing well this season. I wonder, though, when I think about Bayern Munich, for 30 to 40 million, if this guy was really the goods, the way that you thought you could see it, that seems like a pretty good value to maybe want to buy him back. The fact that they're just like, nah, we've seen enough of Malik Tillman. We're fine. And not to say they have plenty of talent coming through their own ranks, and Jamal Musiala is around the same age. And so he's not going to displace Musiala. But I find that interesting that Bayern is just like, nah, we're not going to do that. And so
it's probably, Jimmy, it's probably more than Musiala. It's probably a product of the 19-year-olds that they have in their system, right? Like Musiala is going to be there for a little while. It's probably more okay. It's easy positionally to compare him to Musiala, but the fact that they would sell him off at this time might be that they think that this is the time you're going to get the most value for him. And we have a bunch of young players that will also turn into another one of him down the road, which has been Bayern's story their entire existence. So, yeah, it's probably more of the other guys than him not being, let's say, good enough, if you will.
Right. No, that's fair. That's fair. I find that to be interesting. So Tottenham has been linked to Johnny Cardoso and Malik Tillman in recent windows, let's say, or over the summer. They've been talking about it. I agree with you, though, Tones. If he goes to either one of those clubs, he's not walking into either one of those teams and automatically starting. So now, is that a situation that he's going to feel comfortable in? I want to kind of end there, Chuck, because yes, he's ready to make that next step, but that step's going to come with some legit work. And you're going to, I mean, that's a whole nother level, dude.
Again, right? We get to this situation.
A whole nother level.
You're a year out from the World Cup and with a potential move. Do you move into a place that is not a guarantee?
Good angle.
Do you make a move because it's a step up? Sure. But are you guaranteed to play? Are you guaranteed the opportunity to play? Do you have to work your way in through training and then substitution appearances and prove yourself at that level first? Because we all know if you come into the wrong team, the wrong system, you're behind the wrong player. Ricardo Pepi, in quotes. I think it was pretty telling when Peter Bosz starts Luke de Jong this past weekend against Utrecht, and Ricardo Pepi comes off the bench. And Ricardo Pepi's been in scintillating form.
Yeah,
that tells you where the manager is gonna, prefer the player, right? The player preference. So you don't want to be in that situation unless the coach is you have a relationship with the coach and it's not just a sporting director going, you're a talented player. Chuck? The club can see value in you. We're going to sign you. And then whatever happens, happens. You want to be in the right system. You want to be with the right coach. You want to make sure that everything is signed, sealed, and delivered before you make that move to put yourself out of position where you're playing, you're competing for trophies, all of a sudden to on the bench the year before the biggest season of your life. Like that, it's not worth it. And it goes back to like Christian Pulisic. If he kills it again this season and double digits everything and he's player of the season for Milan, all of a sudden bigger clubs come, let's say a Liverpool. Are you making that move just because it's Liverpool and they've won everything? No, why would you at this stage? I'd say give me another year. After the World Cup we'll talk, right? Because you're in a perfect situation.
So producer Des has a comment in our private chat saying the same goes for every Eredivisie player. Like making the step he added to not signed by Ten Hag. Like Antony obviously made a big move from Ajax. Did he pan out? Hakim Ziyech, who went to Chelsea, did he maximize his potential playing there? Nope. You have, there's a whole bunch of guys. You have Donny van de Beek, who I actually saw play for Girona last weekend. He couldn't even like get into the team at Manchester United, and I just don't think it's going to be that easy. Another one.
I mean,
yeah.
But
you can go down the line.
back. Yeah, you go back. There's been a few, obviously Luis Suarez and Chucky Lozano.
Yeah,
his
Van
initial
Persie,
move. Like, so there's other good, but there's more
as of late.
There's more. Yeah, no, there's more in the category of Tillman, like younger age, making a bigger move that didn't pan out. There's no doubt about it. But there's been some that have. It's not like they all haven't.
No, I know.
Cody Gakpo's a good one too.
Yeah,
Cody Gakpo's a good one.
But I'm with Charlie, man.
At Liverpool, like.
Yeah.
Yes, he's in a great club and he's competing every day and he gets some minutes here, some minutes there. Maybe he's on a good run of form. He plays. Then it's Luis Diaz and Mohamed Salah. He's on the bench. And let's say Darwin Nunez starts playing, or he's playing out of position as a withdrawn 9 when he should be on the left. Or we saw against Manchester City, Luis Diaz played as the false 9. But ultimately, Dalton Harris asked a great question. How do you get better being comfortable, Chuck? Well, there are levels to comfort. If you are still at a top club and you're playing every week and you're delivering, what do you mean by comfort? You made that comfort because it's a difficult situation that you made comfortable. I have no issues with that. If you're playing at a high level in a top division, not the championship, not a second division somewhere in Europe, you're playing at a high level, competing in Europe, and you're playing well, that's good. There's a big difference from top in Eredivisie to going to the English Premier League to a top 4 team or top 4 team in Serie A or La Liga. Though that's when you're playing against world-class players in your position, and playing time is definitely not guaranteed.
Yeah.
Even when you do well.
That's true.
So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Hey, you want our guys playing going into
That's
the
what
World
gets
Cup.
hard when you're playing well, but you're maybe not top choice, and how you have to sit with that when you get home and you're all frustrated, but you have to leave that frustration aside so you continue to perform at a high level and not let it sink you. Lots to break down there for sure, but we're going to take our first break and call what you want. When we come back, we'll talk about another player in our player pool who is having trouble breaking through his team. His name is Gio Reyna. Don't go anywhere.
Today, with the support of the NFL, a new playbook is being written. The National Gay Flag Football League provides inclusive play for over 4,000 LGBTQ plus players and allies. Here is a home with no penalty for being you.
Welcome back into your favorite average to good to great podcast. Call it what you want. I'm Conrad Dino alongside Chuck Wagon and Big Tones, and we want to talk about Gio Reyna.
Yes, please.
He came off the bench.
There's a comment that's already triggered.
Chuck's triggered. Go ahead.
Triggered.
Okay.
Wait.
Umar Mota.
Wait. Der Klassiker. He came off the bench. He played like 1 minute. Just want to give him a shout out for coming off the bench, playing for 1 minute.
Shout out to Gio. He's back, and
he's back.
He was back the weekend before, so the match before he was playing. So,
and he played midweek as well. He's got minutes in 3 straight games.
I gotta address this, Fumar Mota. You come in with comments all the time, so I appreciate you for piping in. But
here we go.
We lose. He
gave
goes
a little positivity first.
He goes. Gio barely played for Dortmund and was always the best player for the U.S. men's national team. That is false. The second one is we lose to Jamaica if not for out of club form, in quotes, Gio. Also false. Because do you remember who scored the 2 goals in the game to beat Jamaica? And that was the impact sub. Haji Wright. That was the player who changed the game, and we lose if it was not for Haji Wright playing in the championship. But he was playing and he was in form. Even though I think our players, if you've maxed out in the championship, it's time to play in a top division elsewhere in Europe where you're competing, maybe in the Europa League, Champions League. But Gio Reyna, we know how special he is. The previous Nations League where we beat Mexico 3-0, that's where Gio showed, hey, number 10, this is for me. I can play at this level and excel. Let me be the one to facilitate in the attacking third. And he showcased his quality, but he hasn't been healthy since that moment. He has not been healthy when he got injured in the final against Canada. So, yeah, I would love to see Gio Reyna healthy and back in action and see what he looks like in this new setup with Mauricio Pochettino. Of course, when he is healthy and playing, Pochettino will play him, give him the opportunity to come into camp.
Where do you put him
right now? It looks like it's between him and Yunus Musa in that position. Also, then in that wide right, that's where he was in the First Nations League when he'd come inside, and he was pretty damn good at it.
I don't like that position for him. I like those two.
You like him more
with,
central?
Yeah, well, I like those two. With Christian coming, it's been like a forward and then Christian coming inside when it's been Brendan Aronson and a couple other players in there. I like that position, but that might be, Chuck, where he's going to have to compete in that right side. And at the moment, Pochettino, you were talking, Jimmy, earlier about the manager trusting players. At the moment, Pochettino clearly trusts Yunus Musah. I mean, he's almost made it his mission for 4 games to get Yunus Musah to a point where he trusts himself. Right. And we use that word comfortable. There's only one thing you need to be comfortable, and that's in your own game. Right. You need to be comfortable in what you do then go out on the field. But you're right, Chuck. That now that I think I'm trying to think of all the games. I don't have all the lineups in front of me, but that might be where he has to compete in that right side. Gio.
The reason why I said he can't be central is because when you play with the 3 right now, you're looking at Tessman and Tyler Adams, right? They're going to be that more defensive midfielder in that trio. Then you have Weston or Yunus Musah could be there, but it looks like Weston will be in that 8 role with Christian in that 10-8 role, winger role with Timothy Weah, and then that winger spot where Yunus Musah is. And we know ideally that's probably not the best spot for Yunus Musah, but Pochettino says, I love this player. I got to figure out a spot for him because I want him on the pitch. So if there's ever a position that I think he could compete for, it's with Yunus Musah and Gio Reyna, because Timothy Weah is essential in the way he plays. You can see he has something that everyone else in our player pool does not have. His player profile, the quickness, the speed, the testing, the confidence on the ball. I think that's where Gio Reyna really only has an opportunity to break into this team.
Hey,
all right,
Jimmy, can I just add?
Ahead,
I love that we can't figure out all the positions. Like, we can't give them definitions, like true definitions, because it just goes to show a little bit of an evolution, right?
Yes.
But I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just love that we can't go, he's a 10, he's this, but anyway, sorry, but I didn't mean to cut you off. But
no, that's a good add to it. I just wanted to, because the chat's going off right now. They're saying, Chuck, Haji Wright did score in the Nations League against Jamaica, but who gave him the assist?
2. He scored 2.
But who gave him the assist?
Sure, but if you watch that game, was Gio already on the pitch?
I can't remember.
Gio was. How long was Gio on the pitch? It was Haji Wright who came in. Fumar, I see you trying your hardest to get me going. It's not happening. I'm telling you right now. And then watch the final.
Fumar apparently is doing a good job right now.
It was Tyler Adams. It was Tyler Adams and Haji Wright that really changed the game. So I'm gonna leave it at that.
So back to Gio Reyna. He, after sitting out for 3 months, he came back in last weekend and played 12 minutes against Freiburg. Midweek in the Champions League, he came on for 28 minutes against Dinamo Zagreb, which was a 3-0 win for the Black and Yellow. And then Dortmund had a 1-0 lead, gave it up late to Jamal Musiala on a header, make it 1-1. He came on at the very end, 88th, 89th minute, getting a couple minutes there. So it is nice to see that he's going to be trusted at some point to try to do something. But when I look at that team, and Tony, I'm going to come to you. I don't know where he breaks in over anybody. I mean, Julian Brandt has been playing great. That's who he came in for. You got Gittins, who scored against Bayern this weekend. Daniel Malin's been looking good. Gerassi's up top. They got Max Bayer up top as well. And they have some younger players that are coming through who are also very good. And yeah, he's going to have to earn it no matter where he goes. But it's just, man, I don't know how he breaks into this team other than he's got to show it every day in practice. And then when he gets his minutes, he's got to maximize those. There's no getting around that, right? The only two things you can control is your attitude and your performance. So that's pretty much where he's at this moment. It's nice that he's being trusted, so he must be training pretty well. But I want to see him get a start and actually take over a game. That's what I think is going to help him get minutes with the national team. But I agree with you. I don't know which position is going to be best for him. If we play a box in midfield, which is what it's been looking like at times with 2 10s and 2 6s, I know that there's a lot of room for interpretation with those 6s being an 8 and one of the 10s being an 8, and it can morph and adapt, which is great. I love that we have that fluidity in our formation. But I don't know if I'd put him out wide right, Chuck. I don't know if I'd put him out there.
There is no wide right in that position. Like, yeah, they come out to the touchline, but they also come inside. You can see how fluid this team is. They're constantly evolving and changing and moving, which is what we all hoped with Pochettino. I mean, Anthony Robinson was playing defensive midfielder and making underlapping runs, right? Overlapping runs, but also underlapping runs, which we hadn't seen him do before. So I like the fact that he's changing his tactics around to benefit the team and playing them in uncomfortable positions to see how much they can grow. What do you think is going to happen when Serginho Dest comes in to play? You think he's going to be playing as a right center back?
No.
Or do you think he's going to be where Yunus Musa was, right?
Yeah.
Then you throw that into the equation. Okay, well, maybe the third midfielder is Yunus Musa or, Gio Reyna in that case. So I think it's going to depend on who's fit and who's in form when it comes to these games in March.
Right.
It's where does he fit? Gittins, he may be out of there right at the end of the year. With the way he's going, they got Max Bayer on the other side of the field, right? I think he's around Gio's age. He's young as well, who's coming into the picture as a German player. It's really difficult. And we've said all along, I mean, we've said now for 2 years, like, Gio's next move is really important, right? And of course, injuries have gotten in the way, but I think the move last year clearly didn't work out, right? It was it didn't ever really seem to make sense to me, that move. But you thought the way that they played, maybe they were going to go with a true 10 and put him there, and it just didn't work out. His next move, wherever it is, has to get him to a point. And of course, this is all injuries aside. That part has to get sorted out. And hopefully, he's past it now. But wherever he goes next, just like Pepe and some other guys, they've got to play because we're getting into World Cup year. And Pochettino made it clear. For now, it's okay, he basically said. I'm paraphrasing. But a year out from the World Cup, like, he needs players playing and being in top form. Mm-hmm. That's why it makes me think, like, Matt Turner. Matt Turner's had some really good moments with the national team coming back. I always just think, like, how much better could you be if you're playing every week? Like, it's always in the back of my head. I just don't know that you could be completely, if you're Gio or Pepe, as good as Pepe's been, how much better can he be if he's playing 90 minutes? We've seen what it's done for Christian Pulisic to play 90 minutes. So that next move, and again, I feel like a broken record because I know I've said it on air, 100 times.
Yeah, but you're right.
Gio's next move is really, really important.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what it is. That guy's an enigma. Clearly talented, has more talent in his pinky than I have in my whole body, and I just want to see what he does with it. And can he get out of his own way? There's an art of getting out of your own way, and I don't know if he's managed that yet. Yeah,
I think he needs a step back or 2 steps forward.
Yeah, I agree.
And I've said that before too. And if that means going to the Dutch Eredivisie, playing
Chuck, he can go to Italy, man. He can go to Italy and play in so many. I don't know that would be a step back for him because he's not playing like. It's a step back in terms of club, right? Club, for Dortmund, no doubt. No, most of them, not all
finalists, right?
Yeah.
Well, on a smaller scale, I want to talk about him a little bit because he's quietly having a pretty good season. Paxten Aaronson. He went to Eintracht Frankfurt and then has taken his step back. He was on loan with Vitesse last year, and now he's on loan with Utrecht. They just played PSV. They lost 5-2 this weekend. And he has 13 matches played this season, 11 starts, 4 goals, 2 assists. His XG is 1.64, so he's outperforming his XG. I didn't think in this particular game against PSV, he was sitting a little bit deeper in the middle of midfield. There were times where I thought he got caught on the ball and looked a little bit naive, and that's the area where I still think he needs to grow. Again, very young, still 21. But, Chuck, what you've seen with Paxten, do you think there's even a sniff of a future with the national team? Because as of right now, he still feels pretty raw. And there's moments, obviously, where you can see his quality, but that consistently doing that, I don't know just yet. But it's nice that he's being trusted by a team to kind of help be one of the engines of their squad.
Well, I'll say he's doing everything he can to try and get to that next level. And he's made the right decisions with his moves in terms of playing time. he found himself in a good situation at Utrecht. They're competing. They were second. They're second in their Eredivisie. Like that. That's incredible. True. And he's playing. Yes, albeit in a deeper role, which forces him to be a little bit quicker. Thinking about his positioning, he's been an attacking player with the youth national team, in with Philadelphia. But essentially, I think this is good for him. And who knows if he'll reach the U.S. men's national team picture by 2026. I do think he'll get an opportunity with the full team down the line. But in the end, you want players to be in these type of situations. He's playing. He's got a good coach, good team. So initially, you see him grow, and then we'll see where he is. Will he be more of a deep lying, Tanner Tessman type player, or do you see him being higher up the pitch? I think if he's higher up the pitch, probably more difficult to get into the U.S. men's national team, given all the talent coming through.
Yeah, Utrecht is in third now after this weekend. They've only lost 2 games all season, 10 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses to Feyenoord and to PSV. And that makes sense. I think that those teams have just a little bit more quality than Utrecht does. But fair play to them for being in the conversation so early on in the season. We'll see if they can maintain that. Any thoughts on Paxten? And maybe you can use that, Tony, as a bigger conversation for any of our young players that are maybe on the cusp of breaking in. But it's just going to be hard for this next wave to try maybe unseat some of the players that are there. And is there going to be enough time for them to make that difference ahead of this next World Cup, where Pochettino just has to start making decisions and getting reps, a lot of reps, and trying to build that rapport and trust with the player pool that he feels most comfortable with, and maybe not trying to extend invitations to kids that have the potential that you can see are going to be players at some point, but aren't ready just yet.
Jimmy, I can just tell you from my experience with the youth national teams, 5.5 years, from like 2014 to like the middle of 2019-ish, and listening to conversations with the young players, the Paxten Aaronsons of the world, talk to Tab Ramos and get advice and sit at a table with coaches. And the advice was always, go to places. You don't have to go to Chelsea, right? Go to places where you're going to play, and then go to the next place where you're going to play, and then elevate your game again. It's about choices. I look at Mark McKenzie right now, and you talk about someone who's gone like this, right? Slowly like this, going up and up and up in his choices. Paxten, I think he's one of the 3 players from the Olympic team, outside of obviously the overage players, that I thought coming out of the Olympics would get an opportunity. I thought it was Tanner Tessman, him, and then I was still up in the air a little bit about Paredes and Griffin Yao. Like, those were players that I thought maybe on the cusp, but he was one of those players I thought, okay, he showed enough that one day he's going to get a national team shot. But like you guys are talking about, higher up the field now is starting to become a little bit more problematic for players when we talk about numbers, just pure numbers in those areas. But a good player, love the trajectory, and hell, if he becomes a national team player, in 2026 or beyond, that's a good thing, right? That means that the development has gone in the right way.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good answer. I like that. Now let's talk a little bit about.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's smart. It got me going, and I'm like, what direction do I want to now take this conversation? But I did want to reference a couple things that happened as a little bit of what happened in our player pool this weekend. And one of the big things that I was impressed with was Anthony Robinson getting the captain's armband in Fulham's 1-1 draw against Tottenham, and I thought that was super cool that he got to be that guy, and that he's being trusted by Marco Silva to be in a leadership role. And so I kind of want to get your thoughts on that. Is that I didn't really put him into future captain material for the U.S. men's national team, but I think that is just a good sign, a continued sign, because we can see him developing and evolving as a player, right? He's just being smarter defensively. His positioning's better. His timing of when to go and when to stay is better. Providing great assists, so his quality, his decision-making is getting better, and now he's getting trusted as a leader as well. I think that bodes well for our national team, less than 2 years out of a World Cup, Chuck.
Yeah, I mean, he carries himself that way. I have a great deal of respect for the father he is, the player he is. You could tell he's consistent, and he works his butt off. So I think from that standpoint, you root for guys like that. And it was telling that, he got to wear that captain's armband.
Amazing.
So I'm happy for him. I know it's just a start, right? He can go to another level, right?
I think he can too.
We talked about
it's a little thing, Tones, but I just wanted to bring it up because for me that's significant. To get a captain's armband and to be trusted in that way is significant, and I just think that bodes well for him personally, and then for our team overall. The more leaders you can have on the field, which we've been clamoring for, the more that we can have problem solvers that are steady, right? Even in the highest pressure situations. But go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, look, how about chasing a guy down in like the 95th minute, running like the length of the field? Like those are like leadership qualities, right? I keep hearing everyone call Christian Pulisic Captain America. We've had Tim Ream as our captain, right under Pochettino. Has anyone else been the captain under Pochettino? I think it's been Tim Ream all four games. Ream.
That's right.
Right? So he clearly respects him. I mean, Anthony Robinson is not far from the list. Like wherever, I don't know what Pochettino's list is, but if you put a top three based on his performance, Matt Turner, I think because of his time with the national team has probably earned him some, and I think he's been the captain a couple times. But yeah, I mean,
look at the keepers sticking together.
I love when keepers are captains. By the way,
I love when keepers.
Yeah. But like, would anyone be surprised if he's the captain in the next World Cup? I don't know if that's because who knows what's going to happen with Tim Ream. If you think about guys that are consistent, put the work in, show leadership qualities, are respected by your teammates, are seemingly there every game, good, bad, or indifferent of the result, is always busting their ass to be there. Like those are the things you want those are the examples you want, right? So. Yeah, good on
Adams,
him, man.
Christian Pulisic,
Tyler, yeah, I'm sorry.
Right?
I'm glad you brought that up. I forgot Tyler Adams, and I don't know how I could forget him, but you're right.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Tyler Adams because he's my last little shout out here before we take our next break. He played 90 minutes for the first time this season for Bournemouth, and that is big. He's been subbed off every other time, but this time in their 4-2 win away to Wolves, dude played 90 minutes, and I thought he was excellent. And I'm excited. Long may that continue. Soccer gods, please listen to us.
Let that recovery work out. I don't know what they're doing. How many ice baths he's got? Massage.
Hey, that guy massages.
We got to make sure he's feeling good.
Ice baths and massages. Let's keep those coming. All right, we're going to take our next break of Call It What You Want. When we come back, little MLS Cup final preview because it's going to be a bit of a banger of a game. I can't wait to see how it all unfolds. Come back and join us right after this.
If you love football, this is the best time of the year.
This is as big as it gets.
The stuff of absolute dreams.
It's your favorite average to good to great podcast. Call It What You Want. And we have some news about Major League Soccer. We finally have gotten to the finish line. Two teams remain. LA Galaxy with a nice, solid professional performance over the Seattle Sounders 1-0. Greg Vanney and his squad, led by Riqui Puig, get into the final. Dejan Joveljic scores in the 85th minute. Riqui Puig, unfortunately, tears his ACL and played the last 30 minutes on it. Had a hell of a pass to Joveljic to hit that first time, and that was the difference in that game. They get to host MLS Cup. That is exciting for the most successful team in MLS history with 5 MLS Cup championships. Can they get a 6th star? That's a big question. New York Red Bulls tried to play spoiler. They played spoiler every single round, beat Columbus in the first round over 2 legs, and then they went to NYCFC and won that one. Then they just went to Orlando this past weekend and won 1-0, and now they find themselves in the final, a 7 seed, the lowest seed to ever make a final in MLS Cup history. Wow. So now I'm going to throw it over to you, Big Tones. Riqui Puig out, not only for MLS Cup, but for the foreseeable future, maybe most of 2025, which is heartbreaking because that guy's a hell of a player. And I just don't know if the Galaxy can be themselves without him pulling the strings. 33 matches, 17 goals, 18 assists, 70 chances created, 4 goals and 3 assists this postseason. The guy's another level. And what I love about him is that he looks like he's having a great time. And I just feel like his energy and obviously his talent is going to be sorely missed in the final.
Yeah, there's no doubt he's the engine, right, for this team. They built this team around him. He was sort of the first piece of the puzzle, right? Then Puig and Paintsill and Cerrillo, Garces, Peck, yeah, thank you. Garces comes in. The right back comes in here, Yamane. So they built this thing around. I mean, Will Kuntz has said they knew they had the right piece of the puzzle in the middle of the field. Here's the other thing to throw in, Jimmy. The obvious replacement for him, although playing in a different way, would have been Marco Reus. Marco Reus went out at halftime with an injury. So you could be down two of those players. Obviously, we know Riqui Puig is not going to be involved in this thing. What happens with Marco Reus? So Mark Delgado becomes really important. Surreal becomes even more important in the middle of the field. But it sucks that you're going to miss a player like this in this game. I have long said, and I don't know how you guys feel. I personally think that this move to the Galaxy was the weirdest transfer that has ever happened in the history of our league. And what I mean by that is a kid his age that comes from the club that he came from and comes to Major League Soccer at that time. I never thought we'd be able to pull it off, and we did. And he loves being in LA, and he's thrived in LA. And now they're going to miss him in the most important game of his career so far in LA.
Money talks.
Money talks.
No, I know.
Weather, money.
Weird.
You got
but he's embraced
there.
He's embraced it.
Yeah, he's been incredible. He's been sensational.
Unreal.
I actually thought Seattle did a pretty good job most of that game. They clogged up the middle, and then Puig had to go kind of around to pick up the ball. And it wasn't the most aesthetically pleasing from the Sounders, but they clearly knew that if they tried to go toe-to-toe, they'd just get crushed because Puig would just find the pockets and hurt them. And they just took away the pockets. They still found a way anyway, right? Sounders make a bad turnover or in a bad area, and then bang, bang, they got a goal, and that's that. But this Red Bulls team, I want to talk about them because you can't sleep on these guys. Second ever appearance in MLS Cup final. Last time was in 2008. I remember being at that game. It was against Columbus Crew, and the Crew were the deserved winners on that day. And I remember the Red Bulls made a pretty remarkable run that time. But Sandro Schwartz, the manager for the Red Bulls, we got to give him his flowers. He has figured out a way to have success. Apparently, there's a stat floating around out there. I think FBref or some type of website out there has basically said that in 34 regular season games, he only played a back three twice. And in every playoff game so far, he's played with a back three. I'm telling you, Tones, back three magic, right? Pochettino, it's like
you don't have to sell me, Jimmy.
But it's clearly having an impact. And this Red Bulls team looks energized, Chuck. I mean, they have this belief about them, and that makes me a little nervous if I'm a Galaxy fan.
They do have a backbone now. I mean, you get all the confidence after beating Columbus Crew in a 3-game series. The Columbus Crew were one of the favorites, right, to win MLS Cup. If it wasn't Inter Miami, you felt it was Columbus Crew. The champion was going to come out of the East. You know, whether it's Inter Miami, Columbus, Cincinnati. That's the way it felt like it was heading coming into the postseason. But the New York Red Bulls have just been incredible with Lewis Morgan playing off of Emil Forsberg. Emil Forsberg has been the creative force in the attacking third. And then they're very good at set pieces. Andres Reyes is one of the most difficult players to mark on set pieces. He's big, he makes smart moves, and he's got aerial prowess. He's very good on the end of set pieces. So I think from that standpoint, they've been very good at kind of breaking away from the typical Red Bull style of play, which is high and aggressive and kind of reckless, where they're much more organized. They're tougher to break down, and when they do go, they go. But they usually go through Emil Forsberg and Lewis Morgan, and they either win a set piece and score off of that, or they're very good in getting a chance off the counter.
I think
they've only given up 2 goals, right, in the playoffs. The 2-2, right?
You're right.
Yeah.
And the Andres Reyes who scored, he maybe should have got a second yellow.
Maybe.
He definitely should have got a second yellow when he put his boot up to kick Duncan McGuire's head, which could have altered the game. And maybe there was a missed penalty as well on a handball. Regardless, Orlando
1,000% a second yellow. I don't know in what universe that is not a second yellow. 100% that should have been a sending off. You're on a yellow, and I thought, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, why is he even doing
putting yourself in that position? Why are you putting your foot up that high in that part of the field?
I'm surprised the referee kept it in his pocket. But New York obviously takes advantage. They survive a couple other calls that were in that gray area, and now they find themselves in the final. So sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, and they've got a little bit of that luck, which again makes me nervous, especially without Riqui Puig for the Galaxy. What are you saying then? What are our predictions for this particular game? This game's happening on Saturday, December 7th. It should be a good one.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to
I'm gonna
predict
go
now.
Home
right?
team.
I
It's
got
easy for
1-1.
me to go. I'm going
1-1.
LA Galaxy at home. I played there in the final in 2014 in LA, East Coast team. I'm telling you right now, there's just different. They play different at home. They with Jovic,
Undefeated,
Peck,
right, in that building.
Yeah, they're undefeated at home this season.
They're
in all competitions.
They're very difficult to stop the trio. And if they play in a back three, which they're either going to be going up against a back five or the three in transition.
Yeah.
Because Paintsel and Peck are so good 1v1 and Jovic is good playing off of them, I just think it's going to be too much for New York Red Bulls at this point. And
You got to get those guys the ball, though. And if you don't have Pooch, the ball's not
you
going to be
think
in
they're not going to get them the ball?
They're going to get them the ball, but not in the same way. Pooch is unreal. That guy's unreal. I do want to say that Greg Vanney has been to, I believe, 6 MLS Cup finals, 3 as a player with the Galaxy, lost all of them. He got to the final as a coach with Toronto FC 3 times and only won 1 of them. So I guess I'll go with the guy that he still won. He won 1.
Yeah.
He lost twice to Seattle, right? Didn't he lose twice?
Yeah,
to
twice
Seattle?
to Seattle.
The good Seattle teams, man.
He exercised those demons by beating them this past
Yeah,
weekend.
yeah.
So I guess that's a good omen. Now, I do want to give a shout out to Sandra Schwartz, who's his first year in MLS. He would be Steve Cherundolo took over and won MLS Cup in 2022 in his first year in the job with a new team. You had Wilfred Nancy, who did it last year with the Columbus Crew, winning MLS Cup in his first with the new team. And now Sandra Schwartz has a chance to make it 3 consecutive years. That would be pretty wild. But we'll see if Vanney and his team can figure it out. I got 1-1 after 90, and then I think the Galaxy will end up winning either an extra time or pens. But I think
who do you think the goalkeeping advantage goes to, Tony?
I think Cornell's been really good this year. Although McCarthy's been solid for them, but I think Cornell
MLS Cup too. Remember, don't forget about that.
I'm trying to talk my way into my old side, the Red Bulls.
I'm trying to change your mind.
I'm trying to talk my way into it.
Stars. Come on.
Oh, well, actually, no. I was there for the change. Remember, to
right.
Red Bulls, right? I was there when we changed over. I'd love to see the Red Bulls win. I know the Galaxy are the favorite. There's no doubt. I still think the engine room is a little bit nicked up now with no Riqui Puig.
You going Underdogs?
Well, I'm not making a prediction today. We're who knows what's going to happen between now and this week? Who gets hurt? Come on, man.
That's true. We have another show up today. So.
Yeah. What are we going to talk about on Thursday? When
we're going to talk about your prediction.
You can't change your.
No, I'm not changing.
I'll stay with it. What's interesting is that the World Series was also New York versus
someone
LA.
Talk me into
now we
Red
got
Bulls.
MLS Cup at
Stop
New York versus LA. We'll have to wait and see. An LA team won World Series against a New York team. We'll see if they can do it in MLS Cup as well. Okay. Now, we've had a lot of conversations about the coaching carousel that exists in MLS. It's been crazy. Lots of jobs still wide open. There's now a new one, Toronto FC. John Herdman resigns as Toronto FC head coach. And he had a statement. Personally, I've made the difficult decision that it's the right time for me to step away from the club as the organization defines its vision for the future.
What do we make of this, guys?
This guy.
What do we make of this?
We make of him going, he's going to get in trouble for all the drone spying that he was doing. And
this is Mr. Drone.
This is Mr. Drone.
Mr.
For
Drone.
12 years, like 2011 to 2023, this guy was spying. Maybe the worst cheating scandal in Canadian sports history. This guy's out here spying and cheating. So, yeah, now it's coming home to roost, baby. He's going to be in big time trouble. And I just think it's in his best interest to
pull out. Just get out.
Just get out. Apparently, I got this. This is from John Molinaro, sportsnet.ca. He says, by stepping down as TFC coach, he put an end to his former employer's disciplinary investigation into him. That's Toronto FC. And prevented MLS Sports, Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment from suffering embarrassment in what would have been a very public and messy scandal that probably would have dragged on for months. He also adds Herdman's resignation prevented his reputation from suffering serious damage, and it means he won't have to admit any wrongdoing. He also put himself in a much better position to line up a job with another club or national team that won't have any moral qualms about a coach who is at the very heart of one of the biggest cheating scandals in the history of Canadian sports.
Whoa. Help me understand this. How, if he resigns now, is that going to prevent him from suffering any ramifications from?
He never made himself available for the disciplinary committee. He never made himself available for.
Yeah, but he's going to have to make himself
Canadian
available
soccer.
if he wants to coach again, right? This doesn't just go away and disappear. Like, oh, I've been not a coach for 2 years and I resigned, so now I'm squeaky clean. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand. But
I don't get it. I don't get it.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I committed a crazy crime, but if I resign, I'm safe, right?
There's got to be.
Forgot about it.
He's trying to continue to.
Yeah, that's a
duck
no
and
for
weave,
me,
right?
dog.
So
That's a no for
apparently, in continuing this article, it said in sharing the report's conclusions of Canada Soccer finding of their investigation, Canada Soccer revealed that Herdman didn't participate in the investigation due to scheduling conflicts. The fact that Herdman couldn't find the time to speak with the investigation only made him look as though he had something to hide and that his hands weren't as clean as he would have us believe.
Oh, those hands were dirty.
Anyway, Toronto SC's job's open. What do you think?
This time of year.
Come on, Jimmy Curtin, take it over.
Jim Curtin's a possibility. I feel like if Bruce was available, this would have been a perfect chance for him to go spend some money. How about
Robin Fraser? He was there.
He was there, right? So he has Gio Savarese, who's been up for a couple jobs. Does he get another chance this time around? This is a weird time. This is a weird time to have your job open up. So they're in a little bit of a pickle right now, because I would imagine they were deep into, who they're bringing in, what type of players they're bringing in, where they were going for preseason, all of that stuff. And now, they're in a little bit of hurt right now.
Yeah, the coaching carousel continues in MLS.
Woo!
Yeah,
that's a big job, man, because they spend money up there, and there's an expectation. That's a big job.
And they're coming off their worst ever season in 2023, and Herdman got them better. I think they were double in points. Not that was that hard to do when you were bottom of the barrel in 2023, but they still finished in 11th and didn't make the playoffs. So still some room to grow, but it looked like there were some signs. I remember early on, you're like, all right, Herdman's turning these guys around. They had some good energy and were getting some results, and then it kind of slowed down. And they kind of found themselves towards the bottom once again. But yeah, you need some time to come off of a bad season. And now I don't know what's going to happen to John Herdman. I'm very curious. We'll keep everybody up to date once we have more information.
He's in hiding.
But, yeah, he's got it. I mean, that's ultimately what this decision, I think, reflects. They're basically, his lawyers are probably just lay low for a little bit. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Just
everything will go away.
Which is tough for him because he loved the camera. He loved being in front of the microphone.
Yeah.
So this period of time is going to be difficult, man.
Yeah. His legacy is tainted, I assume, right? You can't
completely tainted.
Yeah. It's one thing if he did it once. I don't know if that changes anything. I guess there's a big discussion, a moral discussion there. If he just did it once and was like, but he did it for like 12 years.
All right. He's like, I know the starting 11, I know the formation, I know the set pieces. Here we go.
Yeah,
we got this.
Oh man, Vanni Sartini, bring him from Vancouver to Toronto. That would be next level to make that happen. All right, that's it. We're gonna go one lap around. Final thoughts, Chuck. I'm coming to you. Final thoughts before we let everybody go and we let them know that we're having another show on Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll be live here on the Golasso America YouTube channel. What do you got?
What do I got?
Got anything?
All I can say is the comments were absolutely firing on all cylinders today. So shout out to my people.
Shout out to
Andis Brown, Gordo, always coming hot. Martin O'Malley, Sam Hedges.
Where's Kai at?
I see you. Matt Christopher, always love the support.
Love you guys.
Man, Rafa Cardenas, you always come with some hot stuff.
Some fire.
I guess I haven't seen any comments from the hot take king, Fumar.
Fumar?
Yeah, he's the hot take king. Haven't seen anything from him. Andy, always coming out. Andy SVT8, we got you.
I love that. Tones, final thoughts on this Monday.
Final thoughts.
Glorious Monday, post-Thanksgiving.
I will be giving my prediction on Thursday. That's a final thought. Not unlike you guys who jumped the gun a little bit.
I did jump the gun.
Yeah, look, this is always a big week. I love this week. I'm going out to the finals, be covering on the radio. Done it
big
for
tones in
years.
LA.
Yeah, I love it. I love the league. I really do. I love getting to this point, and it's important for us, right, to grow the game. And I'm also I love the fact that our national team players are getting a little bit of shine, and are starting to play a little bit better. And so I feel like we're going in this direction right now.
I love it. Slow
where
and steady.
I felt like there was a period of there was a 3 or 4 month period, like everything that was revolving around the national team, all that stuff, where I felt like we were just kind of going like this a little bit, and I
Copa America,
kind of feel like we're coming out of that a little bit, and it's a little bit more positive.
I love it.
Hey,
I need a little happiness in my winter doldrums.
100%. And does Brown wants you to wear the Red Bull jersey for the radio call, Tony?
Ooh.
I'm not sure it fits, but
oh man, you were the first captain in club history for New York Red Bulls. Do you still have the
correct.
Captain's armband that you wore?
I'm sure I do. Yeah, I'm sure I do.
That'll be dope.
I'll let you borrow this. My Metro Stars kit.
There you
go.
go.
Do you have a number in the back?
I do. It's
I
Joey
have one of those.
Marino, number 17. I played with Joey. He's on my club team when we were kids.
Joey D. Marino.
I
don't remember him.
Oh
he
yeah,
started
little
Project
guy.
40.
Yeah.
DG.
I don't remember him.
Lefty, tricky. Yeah.
We're talking prior to Eddie Gavin.
Prior to Eddie Gavin.
Prior to Eddie Gavin.
Before your time, Chuck.
Yeah, Eddie Gavin was the Project 40 player of my age group who went early.
Yeah. Project 40. Wow, there's a documentary to do on that. Maybe on Paramount Plus. Also want to let everybody know Dylan Nealis, a fullback, wingback for the Red Bulls. He's playing in the right side of a back three, kind of Joe Scally-esque for the Red Bulls right now. He'll be on Morning Footy tomorrow, so make sure you guys check that out on the Golazo Network. And we are done.
Nice.
That is it. We're calling it a show. Call What You Want is done for today. Once again, come back and join us on Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. We're going to be live here on the Golazo America channel. Also, hit like and subscribe because that's what you do on YouTube. We appreciate your support.
Subscribe. Do it.
We'll see you on Thursday. Have
watch
a great
alongs.
Week.
I like the idea of watch alongs. Stay tuned.
Peace out.
Let's go.